Hi, my name is Anetta. I'm an artist and a member at Santa Cruz Art League, and today I am offering you an exclusive look inside Santa Cruz Art League.
Welcome to our office.
We're going to sit down with some of our staff members, and we are going to... What are we going to do?
We're gonna vibe.
No, we need something better than vibe, but
We're gonna do our best.
today we are going to do our best.
That's all we do every day.
Honestly, I like that. All right, come on in.
Hi, my name's Grace. I work here at the Santa Cruz Art League. I am our Operation and Education Coordinator. You can see here our Spotlight Gallery. We've got some cool pieces up that go along with Susie Wilson, Sue Choi, and Heejin Lee's in the show in our gallery. That's going to be in our gallery until this Sunday. And then after that, it's going to be our 67th annual high school exhibition. So we've been doing this for 67 years. Well, we skipped a few for COVID, so maybe it's older. Anyways, welcome to our office.
So you're getting an insider scoop. We're in the office with Grace. Again, I'm Anetta, and today we are going to start by discussing the foundations of creativity at Santa Cruz Art League. So we are going to go through origins and history and see how it affects today's development of Santa Cruz Art League.
Yeah. Hi. Nice to meet everyone, I guess. So the Santa Cruz Art League was founded in 1919 by a group called the Jolly Daubers. They wanted to create a space by artists for artists where they could share their art, they could grow within their art careers, and just have a space that was open and accepting to all artists. There were a lot of plein air painters, something that was really pivotal. I think it was a big movement in art at the time, like Impressionism and plein air painting, and that's something that we can go into another time. And so it was founded by a group of artists who would just go and do art and wanted to put their art up places.
Beautiful. So the initial mission of Santa Cruz Art League was to foster higher standards and bring community to Santa Cruz, because Santa Cruz is not just a beach surfer town. It also has incredibly rich and deep history, especially to its art. And I feel like one of the milestones that is worth discussing is Santa Cruz Art League's transition into non-profit in 1947. So how would you say transitioning into non-profit affected Art League and its artists, its members?
Yeah, I would say that for the individual artist, it probably wasn't a huge change, but as an organization, originally the Santa Cruz Art League as a group was very politically active, very outspoken, and, people took a lot of strong stances about things, as is pretty typical in Santa Cruz. I think everybody here is really outspoken and passionate. That's not something you can do as a nonprofit, and so, there's definitely a trade-off. So while individual artists can still be political and outspoken and active, as an organization, we have to make sure that, we're remaining neutral, but we're able to still have a platform for artists to be able to share what's relevant to them and what's ongoing. So in a way, big changes. Also, it's made it a lot easier for us to survive as an organization and be able to provide help that the individual artists who are a part of us need.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think it's important to have grace towards different layers of our society, and regardless of political affiliation. But as an artist myself, I think it's impossible to separate my beliefs and my standpoint on life and things I believe in from my art, from what I create. So it inevitably reflects into what I create.
I think that, as an artist, it's important to be able to express your beliefs. It's important to be able to have a place to be able to put those up. And so part of what we're able to do here is to be able to give you the megaphone that you need to say what is on your mind and what's relevant and what you need people to know. The Art League itself can't make political contributions. We can't host politicians here, but that doesn't mean that we're, telling artists that they can't say whatever. We were founded by a group of women artists. Actually, one of our members' grandmothers, who was a founding member, she was the first woman in California to get her driver's license. Pretty cool, but she would dress up as a man and she would drive her two friends around and they would paint. And so I think that, just because we're not able to put banners on our building that the Art League paid for that say things doesn't mean that we don't have people who are politically active or who are doing, kind of rebellious and cool things. We're here for artists, and we're here to support whatever they want to do and want to say and stuff.
And we appreciate you for that.
Exactly.
Very briefly, we touched on history, and it's such a vast subject to expand on. But I would like to tie it into the contemporary point in art of Santa Cruz Art League. So how would you say Santa Cruz Art League history reflects in its today's exhibitions and activism, and it's part of our community?
Well, I think that a lot of the history that we have here, I can see how, some of it's cyclical. So we have a lot of things that are ongoing. We're having our 94th annual landscape show coming up this year with Jerk Himmler. Shameless plug. Submit your art. It'll be great.
Awesome.
But
how can our artists submit their works? Could you tell us more about that?
Ooh, yes, let me expand on that. You can go to our website, SCAL.org, and go to our exhibitions tab. At the very bottom, it says open calls. And not just the landscape show, but I think we have Art Next Now's calls are open until the 19th. And we have our landscape show coming up, but all of our open calls will be on our website. Again, that's SCAL.org. Go to our exhibitions tab. And you can submit your work. So we have a lot of exhibitions that are ongoing, recurring every year. So we have things like the landscape show, our 94th annual one happening this year. We have our high school show that's coming up next that I think that one's our 67th. And so we have a lot of those that have been going on for a really long time. I will frequently talk to people who came here when they were kids. They had their first art lesson at the Art League. Also, fun fact, we used to host a life-sized wax figures of the Last Supper in our theater. So we still get people coming to the Art League asking about the Last Supper. Unfortunately, it's not here anymore, but so we have a lot of people who've been coming here for a really long time, continuing to come here, and also we see younger generations, especially with our high school show. It's been really cool to see kids have their work on display for the first time ever in a gallery. And also we have gotten to host emerging artists in our Spotlight Gallery area. We've been able to have all sorts of new and old artists, young and old, at every level. Everybody has a place at the Art League, and so maybe that doesn't sound as cyclical, but it feels very cyclical to me.
I feel like if it was going for so long, 67 years, can you expand for people who do not maybe understand the importance of this longevity? Why do you think it's so important to have this long-running tradition and be able to maintain and keep it going?
I think that especially, so I didn't grow up in the States, but I think that here there's a lot of age segregation in our culture. There's a lot of this is a children's space and this is an adult space and this is a space for people who are older. But being able to have things that are recurring, you have people who are maybe in their 60s or 70s, but they remember being a part of the high school show. And so they like to come and see the work of people who are just getting started, and maybe they're able to share kind of their perspective of what that was like. Or when we have programming that is for young adults, and they get to come and, interact with some of the members here because our membership does skew older. And so I think it's really important to be able to kind of connect different generations, because I think that everybody has a lot to offer. Everybody has different perspectives, and I think especially a lot of our older folks have just really cool advice and stories. And so when you're able to have stuff that connects generations, I think it can contribute to things feeling super fun.
Thank you so much for sharing, Grace. I personally was not born in the States as well. I was born in Crimea when it used to be Ukraine, and I lived there until I was 5. And then I moved around all over Europe. And when I ended up in Santa Cruz in 2020, I feel like I was inevitably drawn to the Art League because this place, I feel like you can sense its history and its drive towards diversity, or at least that's the feelings that I get just from being here. Would you say that diversity is a big part of the Art League, and how do you find it reflected in your personal experiences?
Let's see. I would say that historically, the Art League has kind of reflected the demographic of larger Santa Cruz, where it's been a little bit maybe older and not super diverse. And then as I think over the last few years, we've made a little bit more strides towards being more inclusive. We had a meeting not too long ago where our staff member, Heejin Lee, she's from Korea. I was also born not in the States. I was born on Gitmo. I'm a Navy brat. My mom was stationed there, so I don't remember it though, but I get to, little fun fact about Grace. Yeah, so I was born in Cuba, and then I moved to the States in 2011. I lived in Japan for 10 years, and I found my way to the Art League actually kind of by accident. So when I moved to Santa Cruz, I had the opportunity to live at the Tannery for a little bit, which is another really cool organization that's contributing to Santa Cruz being an art city, and being able to see people make a living through art or be able to make a living for art was really inspirational for me. I got kind of indoctrinated, as some might say. And then the Art League was hiring for a position at the reception. And so that's how I started working here. I've been working kitchens and small businesses my entire life, and there's a lot of overlap between small businesses and small nonprofits. I have dealt with sewage overrun here before and all that fun stuff.
I think that's a good spot to plug ways in which you can contribute and donate to support our exhibitions and to make sure Grace never has to deal with sewage ever again.
Please, our building is very old and it was built by artists for artists. It's very creatively put together, and so if you would like to see our building still standing, you should donate here. I would love this building to still be standing in 100 years.
This turned out great, if you ask me.
There we go.
And now that you've learned a way you can contribute to Santa Cruz Art League, let me tell you about the cool things that I found that are happening here that I don't see that often in every gallery. So one of them being classes for kids, art classes for kids, and art classes for adults, which is such an awesome way to bring community together. And Grace, can you tell us a little more about what's happening this upcoming month in Santa Cruz Art League?
Of course. We have lots of ongoing classes, as always. We have watercolors with Linda Lord. We have 2 pastel teachers, Mary Dettel and Joan Hellenthal. Then we've got lots and lots of workshops over the weekends. Toa teaches a lot of workshops. Toa Dallo, he does oils and acrylics mostly. And then also we have Susie Wilson teaching a class with us starting on, not the 14th, the Monday after that, whatever that is. And then the shows in our gallery, Fullness and Emptiness, by Susie Wilson, Sue Choi, and Heejin Lee is going to be up through Saturday, April 12th. So come and check it out if you haven't yet. After that is going to be our 67th annual high school exhibition. It opens Saturday, April 19th. We've got a lot of talented kiddos from all across Santa Cruz County whose works are going to be in the gallery. Also, there is a reception on the Saturday, April 19th from 2 to 4. If you're able to swing by and show some support, some of the art is for sale. I always encourage people to get art from the high school show because a lot of times it's going to be their first sale, and that is so exciting when they get that check in the mail. I don't know if kids know how to cash checks these days, but I have a little a handout for them on how to cash the check. that gets included.
That is so sweet and so caring. That's what I personally love about Santa Cruz Art League. It feels like you're coming to be greeted by friends and family.
Yeah, we're here for artists. We're artists ourselves, and we want to make sure that, your first sale is an awesome experience, or your first show, or even if it's your 100th sale. If you want me to include instructions on how to cash a check, just let me know and I can do that.
Thank you so much, and I feel like there's so many opportunities, so please check out the Santa Cruz Art League website, SCAL.org. Grace outlines some of the ways you can contribute, and you can submit your works of art for consideration to have some of your art exhibited here, and maybe we get to meet you as well.
One more thing, if you enjoyed this and you'd like to hear more, we are looking for donations for some AV equipment. We have one person already pledging $100. We're looking to match our goal of $700. So we're looking for 6 more people who are willing to donate $100 for some AV equipment. If that's you or somebody you know, send this to them. You can donate at our website, scal.org.
So this is going to be it for today. Thank you so much for joining me, Anetta, and Grace in our first trial run, and let us know how we did. That's where it all begins, guys.
Yeah. If we did badly, let us know in the comments.
No, please don't let us know if we did badly. Please be kind. Please be kind.
That's true. I'm just trying to engagement bait.
Because they will let us know if we did
That's
poorly.
true. Share this with your friends. Share this with your enemies.
And again, if you want to donate, scan the QR code and you'll be a part of it.
Go to scal.org.
All right.
Follow us.
Give us money, please.